Hi, I'm Dave Ihrig. Join me now to explore the most successful master plan community in the country, visit a distinguished university known throughout the world, and get an insider sneak peek at the first great metropolitan park of the 21st century. All this without ever leaving the borders of America's safest city. Now, how could all these accomplishments and distinctions belong to one city that's younger than me? Well, to find out, hop aboard as we embark on a bus tour excursion to discover Irvine. I guess we'll need a bus driver. And we'll need a tour guide. Meet Kelly Sunderman, an Irvine school teacher whose parents were one of the first residents to embrace the incredible lifestyle Irvine offers. Kelly and I set out to determine what factors go into the creation of a city that is now heralded as the primary model for planned communities across the entire nation. Let's start with the real estate mantra, location, location, location.
The original Irvine Ranch stretched from the Pacific coast all the way to the Cleveland National Forest.
Oh,
it was
wow.
40,000 acres.
40,000 acres?
It's still considered the Irvine Ranch land, but even though it's not all owned by the Irvine Company anymore.
If you were looking for a place to build a community, a parcel of land that vast with no pre-existing settlements or arbitrarily developed roadways was a rare find indeed. Especially after 100 years of land squatters, property disputes, and conflicting land grants by Mexican and American governments. The Irvine Ranch was kept pristine through 3 generations, starting with the ideals of a very determined Irish immigrant by the name of James Irvine.
And we're actually going to take a second. We're going to stop in the in front of the Historical Museum.
So we're here at the Irvine Historical Museum. What would we see if we were here about 130 years ago?
About 130 years ago, you would have seen the building behind me as well as the original house structure, which was known as the Rancho San Joaquin House.
This house existed at the time, and whose house was it?
It was built for James Irvine I.
Okay.
And it was designated to be his home when he was down from San Francisco, but it was also actually used for the ranch manager.
Okay, so we're at the main cattle camp.
Yes.
And who are some of the people that might have been here?
James Irvine would have been here. Both James Irvine I and James Irvine Sr. would have made it up here. And actually, James Irvine Sr. called this the top of the world, and this is where he most liked to be because you could see all of the acres of the Irvine Ranch from here.
In 1876, there was a crippling drought, yet the Irvine family reportedly loved this land enough they bought out their previous partners for $150,000, in spite of, or maybe because of, the drought. That same year, the Irvine family ranch house was built. An exact replica of the house stands today as the Katie Wheeler Library. So tell me a little bit about the family and how they affected the growth of the city.
Well, what's interesting is that we moved from a cattle and sheep ranch into more agricultural ventures, and James Irvine wanted it to stay that way. He had 2 sons. He had a son named James, of course, and then another son named Myford. And James was actually sort of groomed to take over the ranch, whereas Myford was set to stay up in San Francisco and work up there. Unfortunately, James died. James the son
Right.
died way before his time, and because of that, Myford was then next in line to take over the ranch. And that's actually how the Irvine Company was founded, because James Sr. was a little bit concerned about Myford's ability to take over the ranch and to run it the way that he had envisioned.
After over 80 years as one of California's most productive farms, Myford Irvine caught the development bug. Laying the infrastructure for the Boy Scout Jamboree in 1953 put the ranch in a position to develop itself residentially. So, when renowned architect William Pereira proposed Irvine as his #1 choice to design and build a new California university, the Irvines were on board. In stark contrast to the random land sprawl developments surrounding the Irvine Ranch, Pereira had an opportunity to start from scratch and design a community that would serve the needs of its residents. What needs? And how did Pereira's master plan provide for today's residents? We'll find out when we return to Discover Irvine.
Drowning. It's a silent killer. Children under the age of 5 are 14 times more likely to die from drowning in a backyard swimming pool than a vehicle accident. It can occur in 3 seconds and as little as 2 inches of water. Drowning is 100% preventable. Supervision is key. Install multiple barriers like fences, locks, and alarms. Know how to swim and learn CPR.
For more information on drowning prevention, contact the Orange County Fire Authority.
Welcome back to Discover Irvine. Now, we've seen why the wide open space of the Irvine Ranch offered such an incredible opportunity to build a community from scratch. And we know Pereira's intention was to turn this empty space into a city specifically designed to serve the needs of its residents. As our tour progresses, we approach what is considered by many to be the quintessential result of his noble ambition.
We are now entering my personal favorite village because it's where I grew up, and that is the village of Woodbridge.
All of Irvine is centered around this village lifestyle, the idea that there's some sort of unique focus to each village.
Each village is designed as a self-contained unit comprised of schools, parks, and shopping areas.
Located in the heart of Irvine, Woodbridge is the city's most well-known village. It's also its most popular. Built in phases during the 1970s and 1980s, Woodbridge is made up of a variety of distinctive housing types and organized into neighborhoods that feature a park as its focus. The hallmark of this active village consists of 2 man-made lakes at its center, used for boating, fishing, and numerous other recreational activities.
Now, this village concept makes sense, but it certainly can't be the only reason Irvine became known as the best master planned community in the country. So, what sets Irvine apart? Well, today, as our bus tour winds through the university, the business district, the great park, and the numerous distinctive villages, most of us are totally unaware of the most innovative and groundbreaking element of Pereira's master plan, even though right now, we're driving on it. You see, all of these villages are connected by 6-lane thoroughfares, but they are not shaped by them. In 1963, William Pereira was on the cover of Time magazine for the excellence of urban planning. He was quoted in the magazine as saying, "These communities will not be dominated by the auto," says Pereira. "They will be walking communities where women can stroll to the shops with their children just as their grandmothers did." And so, while the rest of the nation became more and more reliant upon the automobile, Irvine residents have always had an alternative. The ability to walk or ride a bike is an option which many Irvine residents embrace. It is a rare instance when you don't see mothers pushing strollers, bikers in the bike lane, and dog walkers traversing the walkways around the lake. These interconnected walkways and bike paths are designed to provide for all the residents' needs. Whether out to the store, dropping the kids at the school, or on the way to one of the many pools and parks, residents continually cross paths and share daily experiences with one another, creating a sense of community not experienced in other cities of this size. Speaking of size, Irvine is currently home to over 200,000 residents. That's a pretty big city with a sizable amount of resources. In essence, this master plan community combines all the benefits of living in a small town with all the resources of a large city. This is probably one of the very few communities where function followed form. The services government provides were developed to support the specific needs of this community. The schools, the police department, and the city services all embrace the village concept in their own way. For instance, the Irvine Police use a specially developed system called geopolicing. Each officer is assigned a community where they become involved with and familiar with the people in that neighborhood. And while the schools are overseen by the Irvine Unified School District, unofficial policy is to pass decision-making to the schools themselves, allowing the principals and teachers who work with the students every day to make informed choices. So the question is, did Pereira's plan centered on the village concept, utilizing bike paths and walkways to connect the residents to their communities, pay off? Here are some facts about the Irvine of today. Irvine schools consistently rank at the top of the nation. Irvine is home to the University of California, Irvine. The school serves over 20,000 new students each year and has been ranked first in the country in information and technology. Irvine has been the safest city in America for a number of years based upon FBI crime data. Irvine also has a thriving business community, which is home to approximately 100 regional, national, and international headquarters. Speaking of business, what sort of lifestyle does Irvine offer the young professional? Okay, so we're standing right now in the IBC, which stands for?
Irvine Business Complex.
Irvine is among a handful of suburban communities taking a cutting-edge approach to reduce traffic congestion and pollution. By mixing retail, office, and residential uses in close proximity, Irvine will provide residents the ability to both live and work in the same neighborhood. We've seen how the village concept has been applied and affords our residents the lifestyle they so enjoy. When we come back, we'll see what's in store for Irvine's future.
Anyone can become a victim of domestic violence. Anyone. We are here to help.
Domestic violence not only affects the abused, it also impacts children and other family members. We are here to help.
There are many local agencies to assist you, including temporary shelters and guidance. We're here to help you.
Call if you need help. You are not alone.
Let's continue now to discover Irvine. Well, we've been to some of the places that played a significant role in the creation of the nation's best master plan community. From livestock to corporate stocks, Irvine has matured quickly. But will all this progress threaten the lifestyle residents currently enjoy? Well, as the wheels of our bus move us onward, so do the hands of time. Let's explore an important aspect of Irvine's past and future, sustainability. Believe it or not, Irvine has planned for sustainability since the very beginning. And now we'll get an inside look at how the city embarks on future plans for the Orange County Great Park. A unique feature of the park is the reuse and recycling of materials from the base in constructing the Great Park. 550 acres of runways and taxiways will create more than 3.5 million tons of concrete and steel to be recycled and put to use in the creation of the Orange County Great Park. The focus of sustainability in the park includes habitat restoration, renewable energy generation such as photovoltaic cells attached to lampposts, and water quality management that captures, cleans, and recycles water as it flows through the park. So we're here at the current home of the Great Orange Balloon at the future site of the Orange County Great Park. What does this park mean for the future of Irvine?
This park is the first great metropolitan park of the 21st century.
Okay, so like a Central Park, is it fair to compare this park to Central Park?
Actually, it's completely unfair to compare it to Central Park. And
and why is that?
Let me tell you why. Because this park is almost double the size of Central Park.
That's right, almost double the size of Central Park. Planning this park is a huge job, and with Irvine's reputation for good planning, the bar's been set pretty high. So who will decide what should go in a park this size? Well, the city started with the residents. Really, that's where all the planning started. And here are some of their suggestions.
And when I look at the social activities and the things they've got, I would really like to see opportunities for different organizations to be able to use some of those classrooms and things.
And according to Kelly,
the Orange County Great Park will include over 1,300 acres of magnificent public spaces, including a 2.5-mile canyon, more than a 20-acre lake, a cultural terrace, botanic gardens, great lawn, performing arts venue, veterans memorial, aircraft museum, sports park, a 974-acre nature preserve, and a wildlife corridor.
The proposed wildlife corridor connects the northern Irvine Open Space Preserve to the southern Open Space Preserve, enabling wildlife a route from the mountains to the ocean. I'd say Irvine's going to give a whole new meaning to a day at the park. With all these amenities and this fantastic lifestyle, you can imagine quite a few people might want to move here to Irvine. You see, Irvine's plan for planned growth focuses on preserving not only our lifestyles, but also our parks and lands for recreation and wildlife conservancy. Even though Irvine boasts over 16,000 acres of parks, sports fields, streetscapes, trails, and designated open space, and more parks open all the time, it's Irvine's approach to ensuring open space that is unique. The city's policy is to set aside acreage for every 1,000 residents every time a residential development is approved. Just to illustrate the point, our tour concludes at one of Irvine's most historic and actively visited open spaces, Bommer Canyon. The canyon recently made history.
Well, in recent history, this was actually the site Earth Day 2008 when Governor Schwarzenegger made this the first California natural landmark.
And if you think the Irvine Ranch obtaining a designation as a California National Landmark is difficult, you're right. And if you think this award marks the beginning of a commitment to conservation, you're wrong. You see, the ceremony was held right here on April 22nd, 2008, 2 months short of another historic date in Irvine. Over 20 years ago, on June 7th, 1988, the city of Irvine voted in the Open Space Initiative. That's right, when most of America was focused on amassing great wealth, the founders of Irvine were already thinking conservation. Irvine's Open Space Ballot Initiative has permanently preserved 9,500 acres of critical open space areas. As always, we saved the best for last. And so, as our tour winds up, through the magic of television, we have the rare opportunity to jump way ahead into the future and get a peek at what Irvine will look like. So Kelly, tell me, what are we going to see in this spot in 20, 50, or 100 years?
You'll see exactly what you're seeing today.
Well, I'm Dave Ihrig, and I hope you've enjoyed your tour as we come to our final stop. Thanks for taking the time to discover Irvine.